Dan Illman, Mike Beer, race number 7 at Aqueduct on Wood Memorial Saturday is the Grade 3 Excelsior Stakes for older horses going 1 1/8 miles. If you're going to get involved on Saturday, remember the first post bonus presented by DRF Bets. Bet $25 to win on one horse in race number 1 at Aqueduct, Keeneland, and/or Santa Anita. Get a $10 bonus whether your horse wins or loses. Learn more at drf.com/preps. Let's meet the field for the Excelsior. Your morning line favorite is the number 6, Discreet Lover, who came out of nowhere to win this race last year at odds of 7 to 1. And let's be honest, he became one of the top 10 or 15 older handicap horses in the country last year, winning the Grade 1 Jockey Club Gold Cup at 45 to 1. Last time out in the Breeders' Cup Classic, listen, he was overmatched, but all things considered, I didn't think he ran badly at all. He was running on at the end of this race. It'll just be interesting to see if Uriah St. Louis has him cranked and ready to go first off the bench.
Yeah, I guess that is the question. I guess it's also maybe a little question of how short a price you really want to take on him, because he is the favorite in this race, and he should be the favorite based on his resume. He's just a real overachiever. And as you mentioned, he won this race last year, and he did it after stumbling pretty badly at the start. It was a really nice performance. Distance, no problem for him. He's got the class lines. You know, even though the Jockey Club Gold Cup, you know, it was a huge upset. He got a great setup in there with a wicked fast pace that he was able to close down. But all of his other races in tough spots last year, I mean, he acquitted himself really well. He's just a really cool horse. I'm not betting him at 9 to 5, Dan, but he could win this race.
No, I'm not going to bet him at 9 to 5 either, although it is interesting. Out of 45 starts, he's only been favored 4 times. He's won all 4 times as the favorite, but to me, he's always been the interesting outsider at a short price, and perhaps not much of an edge over this field off of the layoff. We might try to find others. Second choice on David Aragona's morning line is the number 3, Monongahela. I thought this horse did some good things in his seasonal debut, the John B. Campbell Stakes. Trevor McCarthy angled him out about to the 5 path to split horses, and he just got bounced around several times throughout the last 1/8 of a mile, and he still only missed by a neck to a pretty strong field. The problem is Monongahela finds ways to lose. He's run second 10 times out of 21 starts and hasn't won a race since December of 2017.
Yeah, it's interesting, too, that you mentioned his last start in the Campbell, because he did run well, and he did really get bounced around in the stretch of that race. But even after that, he still got back in front late in that race, and then he got outfinished again at the end. So you're right. I think there's, you know, maybe a little character flaw with him, but he's a pretty good horse. This is second time Jason service. I don't think that's anything to overlook. He's got a bad running style. I hate that he comes from, you know, far back off the pace all the time, and that's likely responsible for his overall record in a lot of ways. But, I mean, how do you look at this race and not think he's going to be a contender?
The number 7 is Shivami Timbish, going out for Steve Asmussen, first time. This horse was 3rd behind the good Vino Rosso, 2018 Wood Memorial winner, logical contender in the Carter on Saturday in the Stymie. Didn't break well, passed a couple of tired horses. I'm a little bit concerned about the distance simply because a shrewd horseman like Hollendorfer seemed reluctant to stretch him out for most of his career. But this horse, on his best day, I think can crack the board at a price.
Right, and he can get a better trip than he got last time, whereas you say he just broke very slowly from the gate and then was a sort of a no-factor 3rd in there. I'm worried about distance for him. He is a little bit slow on the way into this race, but it's not like there's a bunch of, you know, super fast horses in here. He probably fits pretty well in this field.
Let's take a look at the Timeform US pace projector for this race. Remember, the Timeform US does update once scratches are official. We are not sure if the number 4 hit it once more, who is expected to be prominently placed in this race, will run here or at Parks in an easier spot on Saturday. He is a really nice New York bred, is Hit It Once More. He does have good speed. I just think he kind of lost his way towards the end of last year.
I mean, he did. His most recent start in the Bernardini actually wasn't a bad performance, considering how far he was going in there, and he had the lead all the way down past mid-stretch. I think he ran well in that race. It's pretty simple with him, though, Dan. He has to be on the lead. If he doesn't make the lead in his races, he's just not the same horse. It feels like there's a chance he could make the front here. We'll see how it all plays out. But if he gets in front of this field and he's on the lead up the backstretch, take his chances very seriously, because on his best day, he's a good horse.
I've tried to make a case for the 5 Tour de Force, and he's a horse that I'm going to use at least underneath in single race exotics. I remember him from Maryland, and I liked his win back in October going 1 mile and a 16th. I thought that was just a solid victory. His 5th in the Richard Small was not a bad effort at all. He was 1 pace that day, but he did have good speed. And last time out, they put the blinkers on him, and I think he was just a little bit too aggressive in the early portion of the race. I was very disappointed that they ran by him willingly at the quarter pole, and he just had nothing left in the stretch. But a really good trainer in Rudy Rodriguez claimed this horse. He removes the blinkers. I think he's going to be either out on the lead or sitting second. The distance, not worried about it. I think this horse might be able to crack the board at a price.
I agree. I'm not worried about distance with him either, and I think he can get the right trip in this race too. He doesn't have to be on the lead, but he could get it, and if somebody else takes it, he'll be in close range. I really like this trainer change too. I mean, Rudy obviously just good with everything. He is unbelievable off the claim with dirt routers. Past 5 years, Dan, 44 for 108, 273 ROI. He gets these horses better when he takes them.
Wouldn't be surprised if this horse runs well at all. Another one of the also-rans from the last race came back to win with a 95 buyer. Kind of a fringe contender in the Carter on Saturday. Let's talk a little bit about the number 2. That's Holiday Bonus going out for Greg DePrima. 5th last time out behind Hit It Once More. Has finished behind Monongahela. Never really thought of him as a graded stakes type.
Yeah, me either. I don't really see him in this race. Distance is good for him. I mean, he'll go at least this far. And it felt briefly like when he first switched over to dirt late last year, like maybe he found a new home. He hasn't really sustained that form, though.
Let's take a look at our top selections for the Grade 3 Excelsior Stakes. You're going with Pletcher and Velasquez on the outside. That's the number 8, Life's a Parlay. 2 turns, not a problem. That was his 2-turn debut and his 4-year-old debut last time out. And the 4th place finisher of that race came right back to win with a 93 Buyer's speed figure. Didn't break very well. Johnny V put him right into the race, however. He was able to set the pace. I didn't like the way he was drifting out a little bit during the stretch drive, but this horse might be able to get loose, especially if Hit It Once More scratches. He might be able to dissuade the 5 early and could take him on a merry chase. Are you worried about the extra distance?
I am worried about the distance. I'm also, worried that he just might not be this good. He has a lot to prove in this race. The reason I took him is twofold. First of all, like you said, I think there's a chance he could make the lead in here. He's cut out to be a nice horse, Dan. We'll see if it works out for him. But he started out his career pretty well. He was disappointing in the Gio Ponte last November in that 3-horse field. But to put it bluntly, he got a stupid ride in that race. They did not try to make the lead with him. I don't know why they rated in there, and he paid the price for it. I think his win at Oaklawn is better than it even looks on paper. When I watched the race, I mean, they sent him to the lead in there. He had pressure the entire way. He raced that horse off. He had a challenger come for him on the 2nd turn. He raced that horse off, and then he had the runner-up come for him in the stretch, and he raced that horse off. I think this horse ran a lot better than it looks on paper last time, and I'm hoping it's a sign that he's finding himself and is ready to step forward in this race.
Came back out of that race with a bullet work, allays fears of any kind of a bounce. I know you're a big fan of Nicodemus. I know you're a little bit concerned about this distance. This horse added blinkers last time out for Linda Rice, and Jose Lezcano just gave him a really nice trip. He was able to save ground every step. He shot up the rail, but I like the way he dug down deep to get the money late in the game. In his only prior try going 1 mile and an 8th, he's probably in a little bit too tough and only start number 3 against Hofburg. He draws a great inside post position. And I think if Junior Alvarado gets a little bit aggressive, why can't he sit 3rd or 4th, maybe in the pocket with a big chance at a horse like Life's a Parlay turning into the stretch? 5-1 on the morning line on Nicodemus.
Yeah, listen, he's going to get a good trip in this race. I agree with you. When I saw the entries for the race, I was almost sure I was going to put him on top. Yet I'm a big fan of this horse, and I think there's a chance that he has a pretty good year this year for Linda Rice. I went a different way, but I'm using this horse. I'm a little worried about the distance. He ran fine in the Curlin last year, and he can do better than that. You would think anyway this year. I'm a little worried, though. He may not want to go this far. I went 8-1. I could have easily gone 1-8. We'll see what happens.
Mike's going 8-1. I'm going 1-6-3-5 in the Grade 3 Excelsior. Race number 7 at Aqueduct on Wood Memorial Saturday. Make sure to bet race number 1 at Aqueduct on Wood Memorial Saturday, or race number 1 at Santa Anita, or race number 1 at Keeneland. You bet $25 to win on one horse in any of those tracks at race number 1. You get a $10 bonus, win or lose. DRF bets. Ready, set, bet. Approximate post time for the Excelsior, 4:11 Eastern. Best of luck.